Okay, so we are going to create some textures really quick. I'm just going to go over what it's like to texture things. So, for example, we have a ground plane, right? And we scale this out using the scale tool all the way out to about here, just the size of the grid. And we can actually key it in over here. Nice thing about it is you can type in 20, 20, 20, and it'll be perfectly 20. Or if you select all three and type in 20, it'll update all three at once. Another nice thing is if you're scaling, you can pull things in the X or in the Z or in the Y, but look, the Y won't work because there is no thickness to a plane. It's just a thin surface. As you can see, you can barely see it in the side view or the front view. Another way you can scale it in the X is by selecting the word scale Z and just pull on it while you have your middle mouse button down. That's the little rolly wheel that lets you zoom in and out in the 3D view. You just scale in and out. Now I've screwed up my numbers, so I'm going to change this back to 20. Now I'm going to assign a texture to this, and to do that I'm going to go to the rendering editor. I'm going to the Hypershade. Now the Hypershade is where you make all of your textures. So if I wanted to make a nice shiny floor, I could choose a Phong material, and I can call this material shiny checker floor. Just call it checker floor. Waxed checker floor. Okay. And well, you're asking yourself, well, there's no checker there. I don't see a checker. So I say enter, and now up here you see the name is called waxed checker floor. And I can just select this object, go over to this, right click, assign material to selection, and boom, it's changed its color. Now you can't see it yet, but just trust me, you can. Let's name this plane floor. Now I want to point this out as well. This is the outliner. I keep this over here. It's a list of all my objects. So in my window, I can just go to outliner to open and close it, although I already have one open. So under Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade, and Window, Outliner. Those are the two we want to have open today. So I can get into this. This is the color, and there's different attributes for a surface, right? It has a color, but sometimes it reflects certain types of light. Maybe it can glow, that's incandescence. There's the diffuse aspect, you know, how diffuse is the light on it? Is there reflectivity? If it's a mirror, how much is it reflecting? Or is it an old, dull piece of, you know, bumper on a car? Is it sort of reflective? The cosine power is how much of a highlight you get on that object. So here you see I mess with that. You see it's really diffuse and it's really sharp, depending on where you want to go. The specular color, that's the highlight itself. Maybe you want to change that to yellow or blue or something. I don't know why you would, but you could. You can change the color of the overall texture itself. And you can assign a bump map to it and other things. So say if I wanted to make a sort of a road, I would assign a bump map to it because it's not a perfectly smooth road. But for this, just using this. And of course we don't see the texture yet. Now what you could do is you could show the texture, but the best, fastest way to view that is to just hit 6 on your keyboard, or 5, or 7. So 4 enters the shading mode, and 5 is the texture. Now, of course it's gray, so you're not going to be able to tell. So if I click 6, it's showing the same darn gray color. So let's add something extra. Let's add this checker. So what I did there, So I saw on this color, there's a little sort of widget here that looks like a checkerboard. Ironically, it has nothing to do with the checker that we're making. And then this create render node option comes up. Now when I do this, watch what happens here. Here's my surface shader. Here's all the colors that are input into that surface shader. And I'm going to add a checker. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoa, what's this? So now it's created, let's zoom in here, it's created a placement of where that checker is going to be on the object. It's created a checker itself, checker pattern, and that's going into the color of my object. Hit F on the keyboard to focus in on whatever you have highlighted. So if I want to just zoom at these guys, I can just select them and hit F. If I want to roll my mouse in and out, I can zoom in and out. I can hold Alt and pan around and then zoom in. Different ways to get to things. So you see now it's a checker pattern. If we go here, look, there's the checker floor. If I go back to 5 on my keyboard, that color goes away. If I go to 6, it'll shade it for me. Okay? And then 4, I'll just go right back to a wireframe, which is no shading at all. And just to make sure that this is actually going to work, maybe we could open up our renderer and make sure that we are just using just the Maya software renderer. Say close, and then let's do a quick render of that. And there we go, it's rendered it out for us. And you could change this to Maya hardware render, which is basically using the graphics card to render it. So there we go, I made my first rendering and aside my first texture. Now I'm going to create a beach ball, and I'm going to set that on the floor here. Hit W, pull that up, pull it over, and I'm going to see the floor is actually this dark line right here. If you select the floor, you can actually see that. So let's just put this ball so it's right on the floor. Let's zoom in there, almost there. Right there. Okay. So now you see my ball on the floor, and if I hit render, that's this icon right here. There's a ball on the floor. No shadow, no highlight, no texture, no color really. It's just this gray default texture. So again, go to Windows. Oh, and let's name this. So Polysphere is its name. Let's name it Beach Ball. Oh, that's actually not how you spell beach. That's how you spell my friend's name, Mr. Beach. Beach Ball. So let us assign a new texture. So again, rendering, editors, Hypershade. It brings this up. I'm going to create a new object for this, and it's going to be a nice shiny plastic beach ball. So I'm going to create a blend shader. I'm going to call this shader beach ball. Right? And I'm going to click this, and where's beach ball but here. So assign material to selection. And there it is, and it's a little shinier now, but hasn't changed its color. We're going to add some beach color to this. So I'm going to click my create render node icon. I'm going to choose a ramp color, and I'm going to insert a couple colors. Just by clicking anywhere in this white area, we'll insert a color. And I'm going to change that color and click on the black color, click on this color. I'm going to choose red. I'm going to click on the next color here, click on that color control, I'm going to choose yellow. Click on this next color here, choose this color again, and I'm going to choose green or blue. Blue. And click on this color, and white. I'm going to leave that white. Now, then I'm going to move these into position because I want them to be evenly distributed on the ball. So, in increments of 25. So this first one's position is going to be 0.25. This one's position is going to be 0.5. And this one is 0.75. 0.75. There we go. And let us assign that to that. And you're thinking to yourself, geez, that does not really look like a beach ball. It looks more like a planet. And you're right. So let's do two things. One, we're going to harden up the color there. So select my beach ball, go into the color node, or I can just go right here. Here's my beach ball. Uh-oh, looks like I put my, oh, this is very important. What I did by mistake was I chose the Lambert color and I assigned my beach ball, which is fine, but here's the thing. This is the default color for anything. So let's say I create anything and it will just automatically assign this color to that. And that is not what we want. I wanted to assign beach ball to this object. So let's assign beach ball to this object. And assign material to selection. See, now it's gray. Now what I'm going to do is go back to our Lambert and see this color. I'm just going to break that connection. There we go. Go to the beach ball one more time. Here we go. Color, ramp, two other colors inserted in. I'm going to change this first color to red. Change this next color to yellow. Change this next color to blue. And then I'm going to move these into position. So this will be 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75. Okay, very good. Now, I'm going to stop for a second, make sure this looks good. There we go, the right color. But it's not very beach ball looking, is it? Well, we're going to do two things. We are going to zoom in on the beach ball here, zoom into our ramp, and I'm going to change this from a linear to none. And now we have these solid colors. That looks like more of a beach color, right? And look, it's more of a beach-ish color. It looks like a ball, more of a plastic ball, but the stripes are going the wrong way, right? The stripes are supposed to go up and down. So I'm going to change this from a U ramp to a V ramp to a U ramp. And what is a U and what is a V? Well, the U and the V is the direction in which colors are wrapped around objects. So if you can see here, just by changing my color, by the way, I'm using spacebar to hop between the windows here. By changing my color, well, there you go. I have a beach ball looking beach ball. And if I do a render of that, why yes, it is a beach ball. And then I don't know what the hell this is. All right, I'm going to move this over here. That's just going to be a, maybe we'll call this a checker. That's a checker on the checkerboard. And now you notice here in the 3D view, can't figure out where is that board. It's because you're not supposed to use the 3D view. You're supposed to use the side view. So let's zoom in here. And we know this line right here is the floor. So if I grab this checker and put it right there on top of the floor, now it's sitting there pretty. So let's save this file. And when we go to save this, we realize, uh-oh, we didn't set our project. So before we do anything, let's set our project. Now we're going to choose a new project here. And remember, we have to choose our OneDrive, right? And we can create a new file on here in our OneDrive called week 3. Texture test. This will be a texture test this week. Week 3 texture test. And I'm going to set that folder. And create my default workspace. And then I'm going to do my project window. And my current project is week 3. It's on my OneDrive. And if I really want to change it, I can click new and change the name and make a new folder. But that looks good to me, so I'm going to accept that. And when I go to File, Save Scene As, there we are, week 3, and I'm going to call this Texture Test. Okay. So that is how some of the colors work. Now, I want to talk about the U and the V a little more, but there's really more to talk about when you're talking about the polygons. But I'm going to get into that in my next section. So let's take a break.